I've kind of had it in my head to, you know what, I've got to try more Pernand-Vergelesses. I've got to actually do a little bit of a deep dive into it, into tasting a few of these wines, especially in white, and see what this is all about. It's almost equally, not really, but almost equally red and white, which is pretty unique to Burgundy. Burgundies tend to be much more white or much more red. Here we've got a kind of region where there's a little bit of everything happening. That's interesting to me. There's some Grand Cru, there's some Premier Cru, there's a lot of Vieilli, so there's going to be a lot of different styles. There's a lot of different producers. I got interested after trying the Skyas in the 2022 Skyas in Pernand-Vergelesses, a village wine. That knocked my socks off. Ever since then, I've been looking forward to trying a few more whites from there. Some with age, some younger, doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to try a cross-section of them. That's what we're doing here today. Let's go. What do we got in the glass? You can see the color's getting a little darker now. Beautiful burnt butter nose. Burnt butter and lemon, very soft lemon. Pretty darn good. It's got a very fresh front attack. Comes in quite cool and crisp, and then very, very quickly switches into its mid-palate seat. That warmed butter and some kind of flower, maybe honeysuckle, something like that. You can still feel that at one point this was quite a sharply toned and sharp-tongued young thing. But that is somewhat subdued and at the same time not completely gone away. Wrap your fingers if you stole a cookie. One of those, a matron. Delicious wine. And this is the kind of wine I think that you find in restaurants. I hope you see on the list. You get it at a really good price, and you have it. You have it with fish. Eat something with a cream sauce. This is your wine right here. I think it'd be perfect. Tremendous value. Beautiful, beautiful mineral finish to it. Not super long or anything. It's just a village Pernand-Vergelesses. In terms of quality price ratios, pretty tough to beat. They have so much zip, but yet complexity and a little touch of creaminess that makes them quite attractive. I'm super impressed. What do we got in that glass? Look at that color, beautiful little golden and bright green, bright light green, glinting and so light, and a pool of light in a meadow on a spring day. Beautiful nose, beautiful nose. Yesterday, when I opened this, it had a very campfire smoke effect to it, which I enjoyed. And today it's got lingering bits of that as well. Very Meyer lemon and mineral, super mineral wine. It's a far deeper and more serious body than you first get when you look at it. Also, even when you sort of smell it, you think it's going to be a little bit lighter and a little bit brighter, but there's a density to this, that a gravity to it, almost like it's being drawn down on the palate. Very, very nice seriousness to this, I must say. I love that Meyer lemon. I love that touch of bitterness on the end. The finish is very good. It's sort of a dusty tannin finish. It's not super long, but it's certainly good enough for this wine. That definitely suits this style of wine. I suppose there's a bit of yeast and a bit of licorice, but there's something else too. And I really... In any case, it's delicious stuff. Pavelot is a new producer for me as well. I thought they were kind of interesting. The Sous Frétille Premier Cru. I don't know this lot. I've never tried it before. I know Pavelot gets 1 star from Clive Coates in his book on Burgundy. So I took a flyer on this. It was ridiculously... They're giving these away compared to what you pay for any bottle of wine, even a cheap bottle of wine. Probably because it's 2011. 2011 is notoriously bad, I think, for a lot of people. I've had some good 2011s. I'm a contrarian when it comes to vintages, of course, so I'm a little biased when it comes to that, but at the same time, this is very, very good. There's no dirtiness on there. There's no sense that there's anything missing. It doesn't feel like that the vintage was a bad vintage or it suffered in any way. Yeah. There's a certain grassiness as well in the sort of the upper notes. It's a biological wine. I still don't know what that means. Yeah, I'm going to look out for this stuff. This This to me strikes me as tremendous, tremendous value right now at the way Burgundy prices are. This sucker stands out as something that of a traditional wine, but made with a lot of attention to modern practice. That's what it feels like to me. Anyway, if you see 'em, man, pop 'em. Great. What do we got in the glass? Look at how pale this one is. It's much younger than the previous examples. Lovely, lovely, very floral nose. Just a hint of maybe lemon curd, some soft lemon curd. Still got the bright personality of a Pernand-Vergelesses, which seems to me anyway has a little bit of a higher tone, a higher pitch, knows how to raise its voice when it needs to. But this is all class, I have to say. This one, the balance in this is very, very good. It's has a very deft touch, and I think you'd be hard pressed to call. I think you'd confuse it for Pinot Noir, to be honest, if you're just tasting blind. And at least I would, because it does have a nice, beautiful, beautiful soft touch to it, and then a very nice length, a very attractive length, a sneaky long length. A sneaky medium long length, you could say. Maybe just a little bit mute in the third quarter in terms of flavor, in terms of its presence on the palate. That's okay. Very stony mineral finish. Like I said, that gorgeous class of balance up front. It's a very tiptoe, delicate type of wine. I'd be careful what I'd match it with in terms of food. I would right now just drink this on its own merits as a beautiful wine, as an example of a great Chardonnay from Bourgogne. You know, they have there's a bitterness to it as well, right? That a lot of Chardonnays you get from New World or from other places, they overdo it on the sweetness. And yeah, sure, it's sexy and it kind of grabs you in that sense, but it doesn't have that refreshing sort of adult feel about it. Anyway, that's my take on it. And this has got it. It's got it in spades. This is a proper Burgundy. I'm really enjoying this. I've never heard of this producer, Recchione. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but that's the way it's spelled. Pernand-Vergelesses Premier en Caradeux. 587 bottles produced in 6 magnums. So it's a pretty rare commodity. I think this is an up-and-coming producer. I got this in France, but when they're released here in Sweden, they disappear pretty quick. It's not really a secret because of that gorgeous, I think, very classy, delicate touch. Yeah, white flowers of some kind. Just so present and balanced. Really, really nice stuff. I'm super, super impressed with this. What do we got in the glass? Whew, look at how light and bright that is. Sort of a dusty floral nose. Hint of lemon. Grapefruit. Almost a champagne-y kind of grapefruit. The kind of grapefruit I sometimes get in some champagnes. A little bit of butter. It's not super giving at the moment. At the same time, it's quite light and racy. It's a strange wine. Again, a little bit of that sensation that you're more in Pernod Vergelesses. There's something enjoyably floral where flourishing towards the end. I don't find the finish is very particularly thought out, if it's the best way I can put it. It's not engineered to be anything that knock my socks off type of wine. Maybe not dense enough. Maybe it needs a little bit more oomph all the way through on the finish. Going back to that, it does sort of drive through a little bit and sort of wane and peak and then wane again and maybe peak again. So it goes through almost as if I'm water skiing behind it, but maybe just a couple of bumps, just a couple of waves. It's 2022, so maybe this can, flesh out. It's one of those wines that needs just a couple of years. There's a lot of that sort of very fine-grained tannin effect to it, and dusty minerality. There's good flavor. It's just it needs flesh. This wine bears very little resemblance to the Sous Frétille that I had earlier, the older one, from 2011 from Pavelot. That wine was much more serious, I think. But it also has 11 years in bottle, and maybe that sort of oomph and that fleshiness will come through. I doubt it, because it strikes me as a very different type of wine. This is much more nuanced and light on its feet and sort of zipping around a little bit like a Speedy Gonzales. And that wine was a little bit more serious and felt very much like, okay, now we're in proper Burgundy territory here. No resemblance either to the Recchione 2022. You can taste the difference. It's a very big difference. I think that wine was better. I really like the way these are being interpreted in different ways. And even if I'm not this wine's biggest fan right now, I wonder if I won't be in, 5 years' time. Who knows, right? I think what blew me away here is how serious these wines are. I just didn't anticipate that. I kind of put them on a level of, I don't know, some kind of minor terroir outside of the Puligny, Morasche, Marceau sort of confluence of wines that I tend to gravitate towards. I was surprised at the variety of interpretations of the wines, and maybe that's terroir, but I think it's got a lot more to do with producers. I got a little introduction to some aging, with the 2011 Pavelot. So these things age very, very well. Like, there's no problem there. You get tremendous QPR out of some of these examples. The best part of it too is there's lots more to discover. I mean, there's all kinds of great producers that are sort of nestled in and around the area, making great wines. There's unicorn winemakers. Obviously, this Recchione is somebody that I gotta really pay attention to, because that wine was superb, really. It was just very, very classy. And Pavelot, of course, being one of those producers that I'd never heard of and that all of a sudden I'm sort of in love with. And I haven't even approached the reds. I think the reds deserve their own exploration, so it gives me another rabbit hole to go down. I don't know. Do you drink a lot of Pernand-Vergelesses? Am I the only guy in the world who thinks that it's underrepresented and maybe even a little underestimated? It's certainly under-talked about. I think there's lots to be said for this region. I'm excited to try a few more wines. Be interested to hear your thoughts. Leave them in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll be back soon with more wine. And until then, hey, stay thirsty.